Hello everyone, it's me again. So that should be telling you that it passed another week again. This week, of course, the market wasn't doing very well, and there's a lot of stock and sectors actually dipped. We were nervous about inflation. I Before I walk into the give you a recap of previous week, just to show you a chart that I gathered from internet. It's showing you the CPI Consumer Price Index, how it was looking. So yeah, I got because the reason I'm showing this is because inflation is still in focus. It's still transactionary as far as we're concerned, but it's around 5.4% now on the inflation. So this chart kind of telling you that in last year of 2020 to now, um, June 2021. This doesn't really give the latest data up to June, beginning of June. So you tell you that you can see the spike here really in the beginning of year, this year and February really start to spike up percent and then go up another percent, and now is another percent. So it looks like every month will up another percent. So it'll be interesting to see if by July, end of July, we actually hit 6%. Like I said, 5.41% is what is in for June. So definitely. If you look at last year, which obviously we're in pandemics, that's why CPI is exceptionally low. You has really gone up, 400% increase, but this is not very necessarily representational because if you go back to pre-pandemic, which this chart doesn't cover, it's actually give you a little favor, not as bad as really this graph look like. So the reason I'm illustrating this is another reason that I want you to understand data can be manipulated, right? View can be manipulated. So what we need to know is we have to base on facts, then we will rationalize, right? Rationalization and probably have to top, view whether the market will be continue to be bullish or now it's going to be dip and crash, right? And you have to believe and understanding as well why you're buying the stock that you're having. With that rationalization, it will help you to stamp up or position yourself, better than without any plan. So futures are mixed, were mixed, but the market was optimistic about bank reporting corporate earnings. So Virgin Galactic shares surged after space company on Sunday. Last Sunday completed successful space test flight. Disney rose after Disney Plus streaming service pulling 60 million from the latest Marvel video, Black Widow. S&P 500 company also expect on average profit growth of 64%, led by the energy and industrial sector, according to FactSet. All 11 S&P 500 sector expected to turn in higher earning, led by the and many sectors were quite doing well at the beginning of the week. If you look at Monday, it was actually pretty well, and Tuesday were okay, and we kind of a little bit nervous about Fed and whether there'll be asset tapering, and that's how, and then U.S. dollar gets stronger, and that's how everything gonna going down quite a bit. And then the oil prices as well, you actually from $75 and slip it down to 71.51, I believe, where you close on Friday. Global share trade near record high on Tuesday ahead of key read of U.S. inflation that investors saw for clues about the likely outlook of monetary policy. So it was up. JP Morgan report 155% jump in profit on Tuesday despite trading slump. So that was a good news that delivered to the market. That at that point was doing well. JP Morgan's consumer bank, which has been hurt by low interest rate, reported 8% fall in net interest, but boosted by income investing banking revenue rose to 3.4 billion as fees jumped 25%. JP Morgan net income ended and rose to 11 $3.9 billion was $3.78 per share in the quarter ended June 30 from $4.7 billion or $1.38 per share a year earlier. But of course, this is compared to a year ago. So if you look at probably pre-pandemic, then the number will be a different, maybe a different way. Doesn't look as high as this 155%. The news led the market higher, but the consumer price index then showed the increase 0.9% in June, so made a setback later in the afternoon on Tuesday. Transitional has been the buzzword when it comes to inflation, but it's a tricky phase. So like I said again, if you follow my previous video, I did talk about, well, what does transitionary mean, right? From the inflation, you saw the graph, CPI I showed you earlier, where you have been consistently going up for the last 6 months. So how long considered as transitionary? A year, 2 years? So that is really in question, right? So I don't know the definition. I cannot tell you, but because everybody will use this word and define differently. But ultimately, though, I think you will go back down, right? And then again, last year may not be a good comparison, but probably compared to pre-pandemic inflationary numbers, then you wasn't that far off. I mean, you definitely higher, but wasn't that far off. So something to think about again. But still, it is hurting, especially import. If U.S. dollars is which now gets stronger again, but transportation costs have been increased as well, and labor costs. So everything was actually is more expensive than importing. Like if you go to Chinese grocery trying to buy some Chinese grocery, or maybe you're going to get something that imported from Europe is probably more expensive than previously than you noticed, and actually more than 5.4%. It'll be about 20% higher. So Pepsi raised its full-year outlook after delivering earnings referring top analyst expectation and strong quarter of growth from its North American beverage business. And Boeing fell more than 4% after unveiling a new manufacturer qualified in 737 Dreamliner. So Boeing was up a little bit, and after having more people buying the plane, but then you're reporting this, which making Boeing suffering and kind of slide back to. So sometimes it's kind of interesting when I talk about the price $225, where at the point it was actually keep going up to $255, and it was filed by $30. But that wasn't really a long time ago. If you went back to my video, probably a month, maybe 6 weeks ago, it was about that. Then now you actually really can buy about 225, or actually end up a little higher than that. But in between the line last week, you will probably very close to getting that. But I still look in Boeing and still think this company for long-term opportunity is good, because again, pre-pandemic prices were $450. So just to give you an idea, right? So right now still 50% discount. And it is profitable, in this business, except last year, pandemic, they will actually operate at a loss. Facebook, Google parent, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon.com trade mix on Thursday. U.S. crude inventory fell by 4.1 million barrels for a week ended July 8. As a result, oil price hit back to $75.13, though energy stock were down by about 1%. So this is kind of interesting. For last week, even oil price were up, energy stock was actually down. I did mention that it may be a good time to buy energy stock, so maybe last week will be good, and then hope you could have rebounded, hit $80, which make this energy stock went back up. We have to see, but then by the end of August, though, I will recommend selling them. So it's really just looking for a month possibility to be gone up by 5 to 10%. The S&P 500 echoed a small gain Wednesday in the Apple led. So Apple was amazing. It was as low as $132 and really hit $150. So this stock was running really strong in terms of just a week, and really rebound about 10%. And Fed Chair Powell was consistent that inflation was transitory again. Well, nobody raised a hand and asked them what does transactional mean? How long is he what talking about, right? I mean, when you use a word that vague, it's kind of hard to really define things. I mean, that means he's always going to be right no matter what he said. That's my take. The inflation number have been higher than expected, hopeful, but they're actually still consistent with what I've been talking about, Powell said in his semi-annual testimony before the House Financial Service Committee. With that, bank stock will end lower and energy stock will lower. Oil price fell sharply amid ongoing struggle between OPEC and its allies. FANG were high except for Facebook. Peloton shares also dipped by 5.4% to $100.13.33. Chinese stock was slipped with Pinduoduo PDD symbol fell lower than $110 a share. AMC and GameStop, in case you're not following them, they were actually trading much lower compared to June peaks now. The yield on the US 10-year Treasury slipped 6.1 basis point to 1.353%, but went higher than last week. On Thursday, market was mixed with initial jobless claim was in line with expectation. ARK Invest announced and notify or basically let investors know that they abandoned exposure after a regulatory crackdown on Chinese tech giant like Didi, Alibaba, and ByteDance. So ARK ETF basically was selling these Chinese stock. And yet Chinese stock have been really suffering lately, after the 100-year celebration of a Communist Party creation. So even with that, I think they only spiked 2 days before the celebration. But I still thinking in the long run, third quarter, they're pretty consistent with the strategy that they're trying to put more money to stimulate the economy. You will hit that and meet the objective of exceeding the GDP growth still. Then the stock probably will be rebound back to high in the third quarter, and that's why I am very consistent with message to you as well. But we will see. I mean, future is really hard, right? I mean, it's just I'm just rationalizing the trend and the behavior and the way how normally Chinese stock were operating and with Pinduoduo, double November is always the day where really strong revenues and sales. Apple hit intraday record high against the fourth day in a row. After the gear for 20% increase in iPhone production in 2021. US dollar continued trend higher as the greenback shrugged off losses in 10-year race to trade higher against all the major currencies. Trading was mixed in Asia overnight with Chinese CSI 300 down 1.1%, but Hong Kong Hang Seng up 0.37%, probably more technical rebound than anything else. In Europe, the continental-wide SOX 600 rose 0.07%, while London FTSE 100 climbed 0.34%. U.S. market was up in the morning given that U.S. consumers spent $621 billion in retail store in June, signaling the ongoing economic recovery from the pandemic. However, Dow Jones Industrial Average declined more than 150 points around lunchtime. Inflation jumped a 13-year high of 5.4% year-on-year in June, but Powell said much of it was still the temporary factor that will abate over time. Intel is reportedly top for what will be its biggest ever acquisition and seeks to reinvent itself as a market of silicon chips for other companies. Intel, Moderna, Alcor AA symbol went up quite well, while did obviously they're in trouble on Friday, late Friday, have some more bad news for them. Tencent Music, TME, and American outdoor brand SWBI fell in a range of 1.2%, and Lordstown Motors, which is an EV type of deal, RID symbol fell more than 6%. Well, we already knew that this company actually in trouble, may run out of cash, and so the thing they were actually suffering a lot already, but they still bounce back with the momentum on EV. But right now they take a hit again. So this stock you have to be very careful. I mean, to see if you want to buy them at a low, but if that's the case, I recommend XPEV again. But XPEV hasn't done to the level that at this point will ask you to, or recommend to buy back. This trading we can only use one word to describe relativity, because you can see like a yo-yo ball. I mean, you went up like roller coaster, you went up and then you reverse, right? And or you go down first, went down first at the beginning, then rebound back. So that means there's probably a lot of traders, day trade activity or options are driving that type of behavior. I mean, the volume wasn't bad, so we often see the market open up higher than reverse late of day. So the next couple of weeks will be dependent upon the corporate earning and be crucial to see whether the market stop will break through 50 days line climb up. And again, you see FAANG, they actually have been gone up pretty well in this corporate earnings seasons already. But we passed the bank. The bank went up before announced earnings and actually will slip back. So which is pretty consistent with the previous quarter behavior. So you have to look at look at trend and look at how you position yourself. And some stock just after the incredible earnings, people was actually sell for profit. So that's why they went up and then they came back down after even with remarkable earnings. I've shared with you that what I have seen in the story, right? So despite the leisure and entertainment sector were lower now because of the fear of Delta in America, cases went up quite a bit, and so does Asia, and then Europe. We're talking about, like I said, Australia or locked down for 2 weeks, but regardless, I mean, if you look at last year, if you would have bought United Airlines at $30, you went up to $57, right? If you have bought a CCL, NCLH at the time, which now almost slipped back to that level, like maybe a $20, or actually probably even lower than that, and you went up to $30, CCL, NCLH went up as high as $32, you can see that, that takes less than 6 months, and all because of vaccination, things were reopening, no more lockdown, and restaurant stock, McDonald's had gone up as well 10%. So when you see that, I'm kind of optimistic that, and you also have to look at pre-pandemic where the prices were too on these stocks. There's still room for these stocks that should have gone higher when the more travel situation turns back. Right now, you look at the news, even on 4th of July, for some surprising reason, I didn't hear anybody on news talk about airline, how packed and how many people were flying, right? Versus in Memorial Holiday, they talk about it. So sometimes you just, about the news driving, behavior and really investing knowing what's going on, right? And again, also EV stock were down. I mean, which I kind of expected because they went up really high last month, kind of really huge recovery. If you bought it low, you will have gained 40%, and you should have probably sold them off already, because now you can clearly see and they were slipping back down again. Chinese stocks were also a dip, and I said that buying Chinese stock cannot make money next day tomorrow, but you will have to look at a little bit longer view on that. And that I'm expecting third quarter or really, November, October, November time, Chinese stock will have hit back up, but probably not going to be at robust and last year, which was just crazy. I mean, Pinduoduo was from $70. If you look at it, it gone up to $200 in less than 9 months. But there's still still have potential, and take away from the past is you gotta hold longer than that, because there are a lot of people ask me what stock to buy. Well, I gave it to them. Then tomorrow they complain the stock went back down, and I always say that I'm not giving you anything gamble. If this is a gamble or told you buy this stock, strictly purely speculative and it's gambling, right? So some of the stock I have a rationalization why you should buy it. Well, you need to hold longer. So the example I've given was robots. If you hold it, for 3 months, which is actually less than 3 months, you bought it at $70. It went up to $90, right? Now it slipped back again. So robots may be another opportunity to buy back again, and AI also went back down. A lot of this high-tech stock, this price, Nasdaq and yield curve was down, and Nasdaq as record high. You start to seeing somebody may have sell a profit, so they came down a little bit, but it's kind of normal, I think, and then as soon as people see the market momentum will push it up higher, yield curve remains low, then you probably go back up. And then BIGC AI fraud went down a little bit. With Disney, I still think Disney has the opportunity and bowling trade lower this week. So all three major indices were down this week, unfortunately. but it could be healthy sometimes, right? Because they were hitting a record high. Nasdaq in particular retreat 274.68 point down by 1.9%, which is a little bit serious and say. But purposefully, if you look at it, it was because of Tesla. Tesla did gone down quite a bit. With the with the Bitcoin, obviously, right? At this moment, I'm looking, it's less than 30. It's close to $32,000 for Bitcoin. So you're really taking a hit of that. So you have to be very careful about the cryptocurrency. I bought a little bit, but I'm actually losing money right now, about 10%. Just to give you an idea that there was a lot, and then the Nasdaq is now back to the level of June 20, the week of June 25th. So again, what are the good stock? Good to hold for a long time? It depends which sector you are in favor, right? Because if I tell you to buy something, that's not something or you in favor, or you pay attention to, or you don't like that sector, then then fine, then don't buy them, right? But I still think leisure and travel, which when Delta go away, recovery, I mean, it would be good. Chinese stock, again, maybe another 5% down to 10% down, because Chinese stock is very volatile, but in a way, from this point to, like I said, the fourth quarter, I am seeing that they should be in good shape. And growth stocks such as AI, which is artificial intelligence, is the future. So I'm betting on the future. EV is the future, right? And EV, I will only give you two stocks, either XPV, Xpeng, or Tesla, TSLA. But I will not buy Tesla at this price right now. I'll buy it lower than $500, okay? But there's a new saying that they are building flying cars. So, which then somebody saying you may be targeted stock to $1,000 share. So, and remember somebody, I think the ARK ETF owner, saying Tesla will go up to $3,000. So sometimes the number is a little bit ridiculous. But I think if these people want to buy, the fund manager want to drive it up, then it will happen as the way they say, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy. But if they're just whistleblower, then, I mean, too bad, And Bowling is still way below the price I told you a couple of years ago. I think I like Apple, so Apple could be good. Starbucks, and then you have to look at some retail sectors as well, and supermarket or groceries or Costco. I think it's good. I mean, if I look at it, they was over $400 plus now, and you were just a couple of weeks ago, so 370, I think. And Target was still pretty good, and with the reshuffle, restoring, and basically create a new strategy and have online purchases. They have been doing pretty good. I mean, here quite a few good commentary about the restructuring of the operational side. So with expectation high again, it won't be easy for a company to handle clearly the bar like they did the past several quarters. We also recognize the stock valuation elevated, so disappointed will likely be punished. Stock need strong earnings come through to justify those valuations. We think we'll get them, said strategy at LP Financial on Monday note. That's Monday when he said that. 60% of down quarters since 1996 or 75% of down quarter excluding the global financial crisis. I mean, that's just a statistic, right? So there were times, someone is actually very bullish for stock, but there's also statistics show you that the quarter could be down. So just bear that in mind, okay? Because right now, what I got from the news is believing the market looks good. In 2000, despite earning beating consensus for 10 straight quarters, the S&P 500 declined for 4 consecutive quarters, says Salamarian. However, continued earning momentum should refuel investor confidence in the recovery amid slowdown concerns and drive a rotation back into value. Bank of America analysts expect strong earning momentum to continue as early reports have crashed expectations set on Thursday. Okay, just a little later. And then since the crisis started, annualized growth in output per hour has jumped 3.1%, the investment bank said in a report published last week. That's compared to 1.4% rise in the previous business cycle. I think the investors are looking to de-risk their portfolio and equity exposure, wouldn't mind taking some of the tech gains off the table. Hopefully, by investing in companies that haven't had the same run higher as tech has. Investor can lower the downside risk in portfolio various increasing in either holding the position and to protect. So I highlighted in yellow de-risk the portfolio. So what it means is I actually did talk about it in a couple of video already I had, right? Previous to it's the opportunity, right, which actually about to June, around June, it's the opportunity for you to reshuffle your portfolio. So if you have not done so, with the last week, things have been done, especially last couple of days, really Dow had done quite a bit, and Nasdaq also have retreated. It would be a good opportunity for you to swap, right? You look at the stock, the thing you don't like, and you sold them, and then take the money, swap it, buy something more, better equity, better potential, and solid earning. So I have been saying that. I hope you have been following that. But for me, it's a little bit story because I made money on the big ones already, so I have actually holding some of the growth stock like I had, and I'm not going to sell the Chinese stock right now. I'm not going to sell my my cruise stock that now offers I am having about 5% to 7% losses depending on which one I'm talking about. Bowling I'm kind of okay, but I still lost a little bit, maybe 2%. So because the market have done, I kind of loaded up a little bit, right, a couple of weeks ago, and last week as well when the market dipped, I bought a little more. But I still look forward to think the market will be okay, and just for transparency purposes too, I sold on my XPEV already when they're gonna issue IPO in Hong Kong back then. So a day ago I sold, and in the video I did tell people to do that, right? And you proved that it was right? So to start, you will save you about 12% already if you de-sell them because it was still going down. I actually expected to go down another 15% of XPEV before you come back up. I'm a China government though have been very clearly and supportive about future energies and clean energies and environmental issues, trying to be more proactive and locally. So I just want you to be aware of that, but that doesn't mean the stock will push up way away. In fact, they, I mean, it's like a cycle EV. If you look at the graph, you can see that. So you will go down and then you go back up like a V shape, and now the go down is in a V shape. And you can look at BIGC, it's V shape. So a lot of stock that I have seen it in the way I recommended you to buy, you actually will see from then take a year, maybe 2 years is good range, and then you may have just snapshot 6 months. Is you can see V shape. So if you will be smart enough buy at the dip and then let the momentum went up, then you sold it 20%. My rule of thumb 20%, right, for short term, and then buy back again another dip. That should be very profitable and consistent approach of investment for the first short term. But for long term, then you will hold the one that have values and see if you go back. You're gonna hit it in the future. Hope you like my video. Hope everybody have a nice and wonderful weekend. Hope things are getting better for everybody. I hope the job market will continue to be solid and strong. I hope inflation is really transitionary. I hope the stock market will continue. I mean, Friday was a bad day, and you will just push it back up following week, and really, really the strongest and real bullish around August time, and then we have to closely watching the Biden $1 trillion campaign infrastructure plan, and whether corporate tax will be increased eventually, and how Fed is going to react to the asset tapering. Thank you very much.